Welcome to Kiki and Cubits, season 41, Survivor Live, with me, Brianna, and Alex.
Hello.
Hello, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm sorry, I was muting us on my other screen. So I'm doing good. This season and episode has me doing a lot of thinking. Yeah, I have a lot to
Enlighten me.
say.
What are you thinking?
Well, so let's start with this. So we have these freaking twin themes on this episode that just kind of blew me away. One blew me away and the other for a different reason. So like theme of the episode, let's tell everybody everything, which like is the exact wrong strategy. I mean, am I right? We played
Hmm.
an online survivor game together, and what was the very first thing you told me as
Don't tell
advice?
everyone everything.
And which is really not something that's easy for me.
It's cool.
Unlike Ricard, who had like perfect poker face throughout the entire tribal council. Did you notice
It's
that?
like it's like skill. It's like a
I
skill
know
that you need to.
it's not just poker face either. It's kind of like a self-satisfied poker face. I admire him for that. Everybody always knows what I'm thinking. Like, and I get a lot of Botox. It just doesn't fucking matter. What about you? Can you play poker? Can you fake it?
Yeah, I've been told that sometimes you can't really read me very well because I'm just like, and especially when I like host eliminations of like the game that I host, I'm usually
Yeah.
like very okay, guys, so I know that y'all are fighting right now, but I think we need to move on. And just like with the most straight face, and everyone's just like fighting and saying funny things. And I'm just like,
Translation, shut up, bitches.
no, I'm just like,
MCI
okay,
would just be like, shut up, bitches.
I'm trying not to give myself away, you know.
You're very professional. I like that about you.
I
Something
try
I've
my
not achieved.
best.
So like
Oh,
I
stop
just
it.
was like just totally blown away. Oh, and like yeah, also another theme, Ricard's poker face. Did you see his face during the immunity challenge? I was kind of dying because not only was this dude not like falling all over the place from being dizzy, he's running around with excellent posture and his lips kind of pursed, like, and again, self-satisfied because dude like already knew what the answer was before he got there. He is smart and athletic. He's the
Hmm.
total package, and I love him. And I really fucking hope he wins. If they don't get him out, he will win. Because talk about a resume, you
Mm-hmm.
know?
Mm-hmm.
He's a
I mean,
badass.
I personally thought that back when he voted Shan out, that it was going to be the move that killed him, but apparently it was the move that killed
Really?
everybody else. No, because
Oh,
I thought it was too early for Ricard to vote Shan out
uh,
because I thought that the others were going to flip on him. But I guess what we didn't see at the time is that, um, apparently Liana, Danny, and Deshawn would form the eventual minority alliance, of which two of them are now gone.
right, right. So that's the other theme of the episode, and I have mixed feelings about it. There was so much discussion about racism, which was kind of kicked off last week with Deshaun breaking down at tribal council and talking about like this invisible
Hmm.
elephant in the room or whatever you want to call it. But you know, this week, the racism discussion, which, like I say, I am all for it all the time, but it started to sound scripted. Did you notice that? When Heather's like, explain it to me so I can understand. And I felt like Deshaun had to take out hand puppets. Some people look different than others, and other people don't like it. Like, that was the whole, I was like, what the fuck, Heather? You seriously don't know what the hell he's talking about? And then she's like, thanks for teaching me something I didn't know. And it's like, okay, blonde bitch. Like, what the
I
fuck? I'm
I
sorry, I
was
don't
more
like
so
that.
I was more so fascinated by the fact that they made it all about Deshaun when Danny's also right there, but somehow Deshaun was getting like the plot point of like
It's really strange. I
yeah.
just feel like it's either the editing or it was coached.
Mm,
Any other reality TV show, that I would be podcasting with Mary, we would be like, that was totally production that did that. In this case, the length of time that it went on and the mostly the conversation between Heather and Deshawn seemed fucking scripted to me.
I
I'm
definitely
sorry.
thought that it was I definitely thought that it was like strange that they turned Heather at her age not
Yeah.
knowing about racism differences into a positive thing.
I know. And she's like, I'm so proud to be part of this season. And it's like, have you ever watched Survivor before? Like, we have had things that were way more raw than that, like the outing of a trans.
I mean, I
There's
definitely
been,
don't think that this is something that we should undermine. Like it is a topic that actually has not been addressed on the show in such a big fashion.
well, they haven't had enough Black people to do it. And for that, I am grateful. It is about time to see a lot more shades of skin. That is refreshing.
What I
That's what I'm
think is
saying. It's not like I have a problem with discussing racism. In fact, I was discussing it with one of my friends right before this. But my point is, like, when you get it to be, yeah, a woman like Heather, who looks like she's just about my age or a tiny bit younger than me, like, if you don't know what he's talking about and need to ask for more clarification, I want to know, where did you go to school? Where do you live? Because like in
exactly.
New York and California, like,
She probably lives in a neighborhood where everyone looks like us, and she has no clue what's happening. Like, and I
yeah,
mean,
or looks like her, because I
we
actually
heard in
separate
post-season
myself from that
interviews.
as a Jewish woman. Like
Hmm.
she looks like all the Mormon kids I went to school with in private school when I was like one of three Jewish kids in school, and like I was bullied as hell. So I look at her and I'm just like, what world did you come from? Like I've experienced a lot of discrimination in my life.
We heard in post-season interviews from other people that have been voted out that they have referred to Heather as like ignorant or, you know, I don't know, they were talking about her like very negatively in post-season interviews, and that's stuff that we don't really see. And I wonder if that has to do anything with why she's not getting an edit. Um, Maybe it
Interesting.
is.
Because, yeah, you've been saying you want to, we should see more of her. Now I want to see less of
She's a
her.
fucking finalist, and we know almost nothing about her.
Well, let me just say this in her defense. Her hair looked great on this episode. See, she ditched that visor. Suddenly she has like this glorious mane of golden hair.
Of course, that's what you pay attention to. That
I
fucking
know I'm
right.
so vain and shallow. It's ridiculous.
It's all
Anyway,
right.
so I also felt like when they came back, this is something else I didn't like. When they got back from tribal council in the beginning, and Xander, like Deshaun goes off to talk to Danny about what happened. And
Mhm.
Xander speaks to him in the most condescending manner. Like, let's remind ourselves, Deshaun is a doctor, like a medical doctor. He's an intelligent man with many years of school behind him, okay? Even if he acts like a dumbass sometimes, he's not. So Xander's like, that was really eloquent, man. And I was just like, why do you sound so condescending right now?
I feel like honestly, when you're 20 years old, you don't really know how to phrase certain things super well yet.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I don't
I
think it
should,
has to do with Xander
yeah.
being condescending. It's just, I mean, I think for Xander being a 20-year-old, he has a very actually good way of expressing himself
I
respectfully.
agree with you. I agree with
So
you. And I think he's adorable. By the way, I really like him also. I just thought, like, don't speak to this. I don't know. See, that was my
I
problem
do
with the
think
racism discussions, is that they were like weirdly framed.
I don't think that Xander meant to sound condescending. Like I actually
Yeah.
think that he wanted to be encouraging towards Deshaun in that
Yeah.
moment.
We've had other interest. I'm trying to think of the name of that guy who
Who?
was another black guy, who some young white guy. It was almost like him with an older black man, but who was it? I can never keep
Jamal
a
and
straight.
Jack.
Yeah. Remember that scene? Now
Yes, that
that was
was.
very raw and authentic.
Hmm.
So like he's like I mean rather Jack makes a comment that's very insensitive and he doesn't realize that because he calls his scarf a do-rag, right?
Hmm.
And Jamal takes exception. Jack looks legitimately shocked, like, I don't understand what I did wrong. And then he goes and asks for clarification, and Jamal gives it to him in he was a teacher also. So, like, that to
Jamal
me was a
deserved to
much
be
more
on a better
authentic.
season than the
Yeah, he
season he ended
fucking
up
did.
on.
I loved him. He had a really sexy voice too. But I'm just saying that this is like sort of a similar situation, and yet for some reason this seemed really forced, and that seemed really raw and authentic to me. That's all.
I mean, what I really consider to be especially unfortunate, and I mean, of course it is a game, but you have all of these conversations about
Yeah.
this happening right as you see all the black people get voted out.
Yeah, that's a really
It's
good
just a
point, dude.
terrible contrast.
You're
Like,
right.
I love that things are being highlighted. I hate that
Same.
they're being highlighted just to see them like get shot on right after in
Yeah.
terms of the game. Because you had
Hey,
this big
and Erica,
conversation.
oh, sorry.
You had this
Please
big
go.
conversation at the last tribal council that resulted in Liana leaving anyways, and then Danny followed her right
Right,
after. It's
right.
really unfortunate.
It is. So now Erica's playing both sides. She's playing the woman side and she's playing the person of color side. And I thought that was interesting because what you just said happens to the women every freaking season.
Mm-hmm.
Like the men are always terrified that the women are going to get together and have a women's alliance. And then they
Mm-hmm.
just start picking them off as soon as they start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
It is a microcosm
I
of
mean, it
life,
happened this
right?
time too. Like a lot of Danny's edit in the beginning of the season was just like, oh, we hate like the idea of all the women being there. And what happened? Now we're down to two women, of which one is definitely not going to win.
Yeah. I really want Ricard to win. So that was the other thing that shocked me when they got back from tribal council and Deshaun is like, Xander, what the fuck? Why didn't you take out Ricard? Like this dude is a super threat. And he's like,
Hmm.
listen, man, Ricard is the only guy people want to vote for more than me. He's like, that's my shield. And I was thinking, like, why are you telling him this information?
I mean, he asked for a reason, he got an answer. I think it makes sense, but I feel like there's probably more to it because I'm not really sure Xander could really afford to piss off Erica and Heather at that time. And if this is like the unfortunate
Oh,
thing about it, if
that's
Xander votes
deep.
out Ricard, then Liana,
Yeah.
Deshawn, and Danny stay together again.
Right. Yeah. No,
Complicated.
but also what you just said, maybe that was like misdirection. So that basically he's like, this is why, because he doesn't want to say I'm aligned with these people,
Mm-hmm.
because that makes him again more of a
Mm-hmm.
threat, right?
Yeah. I mean,
So
it should have been obvious after he used the extra vote
yeah.
to keep Ricard in the game, but like
But
I
both guys
think
don't know that.
I mean, yeah, it
We
was
know that.
5-3.
You
No,
don't know
they knew that there were
that.
8 votes red.
Math is hard.
Mm.
Anyway, so then it's
I
so
mean,
funny because,
honestly,
oh, sorry.
it was much better than
I
when
keep
Deshaun would
interrupting you.
come back from tribal council and be confronted about something because Xander at least had a reason for why he did what he did. And
Sure.
every time Deshaun came back from tribal and someone was like, "Why did you do that?" He was like, "Yeah, dude, like I had no choice." So
He's so like, I hate to say
Deshaun
it,
is
but
just bad.
he's a bad player. And I feel like I would make
He's a
all those
bad
same
player with a good
stupid
edit.
mistakes.
He's a
I
bad
like
player
him
with a good
though.
edit.
I don't know why I like him, but I do. I like him. He's one of my favorites. I find him very charming. But anyway, the so right when they show Xander saying Ricard's my shield and he's the only one that'll get voted off before me, then they cut straight to Ricard talking about Xander's loyalty. That was funny. Like, he's
Yeah.
so loyal, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the story of the story of it all is that every time that you have an opportunity to vote someone out and you don't do it, that person's just gonna turn into this hyper threat that you suddenly can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Mary just said Deshaun thinks he has a great social game. He did
Yeah.
until he didn't.
Well, what the hell? So, like, what was that at tribal council? I was just like, what?
Stupidity.
What?
There
I
was
mean, he comes
no,
in and just tells everybody's strategy. Like, who does that?
I would
I
have
wouldn't even
voted
do that.
Deshaun out then, but
No
that's
shit.
me.
Why? That's okay. The question of the episode. Why did they vote Danny off versus Deshaun?
Um, I think that what we're looking at here is that this is my prediction. I think Erica's gonna win the season
Oh
because
God.
there was a lot of highlight in her confessional and the way that she was speaking, to which it was very, she made it very clear in her confessional. The only person that's benefiting from Deshaun staying is me. So I'm going to convince these people that they also need to keep Deshaun in the game, even though it's only good for me. And what happens? Deshaun stays. Danny's voted out, and Erica's the only person that really wanted that to happen because everyone else wanted Deshaun, but they just kind of went along with it.
Oh, interesting.
So I think that they're
But
setting up.
wait. So the person, okay, so I could see why you would say that, but before the vote, Deshaun walks in and basically just throws Erica completely under the bus, proving because I have in my notes, I'm like, what is Erica really trusting Deshaun? And then he proves that she should never have trusted him. He comes right in and totally throws her under the bus. Why would she then keep him?
I
Like, what
think
is the end game? She knows she can't trust him.
I think if you like the groundwork for something so long, like all day, you can't really back out, like in the end, just to say, okay, like what he just said was aggressive. Or maybe this was a planned effort that they just didn't show us. Maybe they discussed the tribal, hey, you can use this against me. That always happens. Um, I don't know. I didn't really understand why Deshaun ended up doing that because if I were in Erica's position and I had a plan to keep Deshaun in the game, he did that without my knowledge, I would be like,
Well, that's what I'm
bye.
saying. That's what I'm
But
saying.
I feel like there was a valid fear of Danny actually having an idol. So the fact that there's
Yeah.
one hidden and nobody can find it is funny to me.
So let's talk about that. But I just want to point out that Mary says that Heather and her visor are going to win.
No, Heather's gonna get fifth place, I think.
I promise you this. If Heather wins, I will never fucking watch this show again as long
There's
as
no
I
way
live.
Heather's gonna win. Absolutely zit.
Yeah.
Just the way people talk about her, the way people talk about her in postseason interviews, they don't like Heather. They
I
even
don't
rolled
like
her
her.
eyes at
I
her
never
like two
liked her.
tribals ago from the jury. They don't like
Yeah,
her.
because she's a big dummy. Okay? Like she's a
Hmm.
dummy.
Um,
Anyway, so
I
sorry. Go
I could
on.
see Heather getting voted out. Like my prediction of like what this finale is going to be is that um Ricard wins immunity again. They decide to cut loose of Heather so that they can actually try and beat Ricard in something, and then Ricard gets fourth place and Erica wins. That's what like my prediction is for the finale. Could be totally wrong, of course, but that to me makes
Hmm.
sense. Of course,
Well,
it could
the
be a
reason
matter
why
of
I
like,
wouldn't know because
mhm,
they're changing everything next week. It's like I don't know if they're going to be separated, what the rules are, like,
they
and
can't
Jeff said
separate
it
them
so
this late into the
fast.
game.
That's
It's
what they
just
said. You're going to different, do they say
they're
different
going
islands or a different
they're
island?
going to a new island where they basically just have to
They
build
have
a new
nothing.
shelter for the new three
Right.
days, which is like, what's the point of this?
I don't know.
They basically
But
just
I
threw
have a
them a
feeling more
last
is
they
coming.
basically threw them a last fuck you and said, okay, you're moving a beach, everything you have doesn't matter, build a new shelter, fuck you.
Yeah, maybe they know that will stir up conflict also.
Maybe. But
But
what's the point at
it
that
sounds
point?
like there's going to be some weird challenges. I couldn't even like get the whole list of things that like Jeff's like next week you'll do this, this, and this, and I was like,
Yeah,
wait,
because next week's the finale, so of course they're gonna fit a lot of stuff in there quickly.
yeah, there's a lot of people still on.
I'm surprised
I
that
don't
they
know.
have a 5-person finale because I'm so used to their like
That's not
terrible
me. Yeah,
6-person finales that I'm
yeah.
like relieved that it's a 5-person finale this time.
Are they still doing game within a game? I haven't paid attention for so long
Yes.
because it was so lame. Okay. Anyway, I was so amazed. Ricard can do a puzzle like nobody I've ever seen on this show. Like he's a genius, don't you think? I was tripping out on how he did that puzzle.
I mean, some people are just good at puzzles, and that's that.
I guess so. I don't think I can do anything on that show, like literally nothing. I could probably make fire and cook for people though. That would be my role. Anyway, I think Ricard is a badass. So you think Erica, that's a pretty interesting idea, what you just said about
I
Erica.
think that like ever since the hourglass happened, like Erica's just kind of been on a roll.
Mhm.
Like it's very subtle, but she's kind of gotten her way every time since then. Like she wanted to keep Heather in the game, obviously, because that's her closest ally. So they get rid of Nasir, done deal. She then proceeded to change the plan from, Shan getting voted out to it being a split vote so that she wouldn't like get shot on if there's an idol played. She was basically potentially a swing vote in the Liana vote situation. She was like a big character. And then this time she's like, I want to get rid of Danny. I'm the only person that wants to get rid of Danny. And Danny left. So I think that like
That's a
they're
really good point, but
they're
I just
not
don't understand it
they're not
because
yeah,
he
they're
blatant.
mhm.
I keep talking over you. I think I drank
It's
too much
okay.
coffee. I apologize.
It's
Shut
okay.
up.
They're not like shoving Erica in our face, but they're like recognizing that she is present and that she is playing the game aggressively. So,
Yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I haven't really thought about it because I was just too busy being annoyed by her.
mhm.
Because I find her extraordinarily annoying as a human being. Her and Heather. Like, I don't even want a woman to win on this season.
I do. I think what we saw from everyone else, Deshaun's constantly just getting like making poor decision after poor decision and just like I don't know, it's kind of displaying bad jury management to a degree.
Oh,
Um,
wait.
I think
Maybe they
Rick,
want to sit next to him at the end because no one will vote. They will. No one
I
will.
think
He's pissed everyone off. He's screwed everyone over.
Ricard, like we know that Ricard is like the biggest winner contender, but he's like not getting like the like, okay, I know that I'm in this position kind of edit. He's just like, okay, they did show his perspective and saying, okay, I want to get rid of Deshaun, but it didn't work. So I think we have like the difference here that Erica's plan was successful. Ricard had a plan, but Ricard's plan fell through. Deshaun's plan was like, okay, it's me or Danny. Xander's plan was irrelevant, basically. Xander's perspective to this was irrelevant, and Heather's perspective to this was irrelevant. It was literally between Erica and Ricard. So one of those two probably is winning. We're just gonna have
Hmm.
to find out who.
Who? So okay, if if you could pick who should win, who you would like to win, who would you choose and why? If you say a woman, then it must be Erica or Heather that you want to win.
Um, yeah, I mean, I would like to see Erica win because I feel like overall in the past few episodes, I've like seen her like really like it's impressive to me how little they show her and how much value her airtime actually has to where you realize that everything that she's been wanting since the merge has been happening. Like she is the only person that has voted like correctly all the time, I think. Or at least,
Mm.
well, maybe that's not correct necessarily, but she definitely like knew what was happening throughout the whole merge. She was always on the right side of the vote, and after the hourglass happened, she should have never really been given this much power in the game. Um,
Yeah, right
so
after that, she was just going along with the crowd.
no, I wouldn't say so. I feel like
Her first vote
she
afterwards, she
she
did
did
not
for
make a
the
move.
Tiffany vote, but then she got rid of Nasir, she got rid of Shan, she got rid of Liana, she got rid of Danny, all people that were like competitors of hers.
I still don't get why Danny went home. It just made no sense to me. And when they walked in and Deshawn's like, here's what's gonna happen. They're gonna split the vote. These guys are all voting together. They're gonna split the vote. It's gonna be for me and Danny. They're gonna see if Danny has an idol, and then they're gonna revote. And then he thought it was gonna be him. But like, why? Do you think they just started with that? Like they started with that plan and they just decided not to change it? I'm just so confused. I just cannot understand why anyone would keep Deshaun,
I think that
especially Erica. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I think that Erica put in a lot of work to get rid of Danny. I think that there was fear about Danny having an idol. I think that Danny was probably particularly more liked by the jury based on the reaction to him being voted out. Tiffany saying, I really didn't want to see him leave. Um, and I think that overall, like, it made sense that Erica had this whole plot about convincing everyone to get rid of Danny over Deshawn and getting her way, which I
But they
believe is,
stuck with it after like
we don't
I
know if it
feel
was
like
planned or not.
right. I guess I just wonder why after what he did to her that
Survivor's
she
not
would
good
do
at
that.
explaining why some things happen
No,
sometimes
you're
for the
right.
shock element, I
Get
guess.
him on the phone. Paging everyone. Yeah.
Hey, Jane.
So who do you think was the MVP of this episode?
Erica. Um, this was Erica's episode. She had that moment at tribal council where she like got to explain to the jury why someone like Ricard is someone that she needs in the game. Um, she had full control over the situation. She did not get any votes. She basically decided to win home. Even Deshawn calling her out like totally didn't face her at all. This could have blown up in her face. She could have been blindsided. Didn't happen. Um, and I feel
That's
like
because no one
just
cares about Heather.
I feel like just overall, like her character development, her talking about wanting to be like the first female winner in a while, getting her way. I think that it's really setting her up for success for the finale, unless they're like giving us the red herring edit for her. But
Again, really hard for me to analyze the edit because I've never paid attention in my life. I'm
yeah,
like
that's
the
fair
perfect
enough.
reality show viewer. I like suspend my disbelief and forget I'm watching a TV show, except for a couple of times in this episode. So I'm
It
gonna
is.
give Ricard MVP just because of his amazing performance in that challenge.
That's
He
fair.
was incredible.
Yeah.
Plus, I just love him and his goofy smile. So I really have no good reasons for anything. Basically, it's all subjective. I just like Ricard and feel like he has played from the bottom a lot, you know,
He has. I mean, he entered the merge with one other person from his tribe. So
and then voted her off.
yeah, it is what it is. He's still there.
He's fierce. That is what my opinion is. He's fierce. Anyway, okay, so who was the flop of the episode?
I can't really pinpoint one. I don't really think anyone had like a specifically. Actually, Deshawn,
That's what I say, all the way. He was
never
a
mind.
dick
Like,
the entire
yeah,
time.
the tribal blow up was terrible. Like as far as the
And
game
it
is
just kept
concerned.
going. Like he couldn't. Like he couldn't stop himself. He just kept going with it.
Yeah, he's just like, okay, I know it's me or Danny, so fuck y'all.
And
Like,
then like 10, 20 minutes later, he's throwing Erica under the bus. Like it just kept
yeah,
going. He kept
it was
dropping
just
truth
like, I
bombs.
don't know. It felt like he was losing it.
He was. He like, yes. He had a total like spiral. They should have gotten rid of him, even though I really like him too. I apparently just don't like the women, but it's not normal for me. I think I'm still mad about Evie getting voted off. I really wanted her in the final.
Maybe, but
I
you know,
just liked her so much. I thought she was awesome.
it happens. Sometimes our
Wouldn't it
favorites
be cool
don't
if
win.
they threw one of those challenges like someone's gonna get back in?
No, please no. Please no.
Okay, so we've already predicted our winners. That's
Mm-hmm.
about it. Any last thoughts?
I'm really excited for the finale, and I think that honestly, as long as Heather doesn't win, with all due respect, I think that whoever wins is going to represent the season pretty well.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. I think it's been solid. And I think it was more awkward in the beginning,
Yeah, the
and then it
beginning was
kind of evened
terrible.
out. It
The
was just
beginning
like
was awful.
stuttering, kind of just,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think the turning point was like around when Jeannie was voted out. That's when it started getting better.
I've enjoyed it. It's been, and also after not having it for 2 years. So
Mm-hmm. Right.
cool. Well, looking forward to the finale next week.
Whoop whoop.
Woo.
Party, big day.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like I should be in a fantasy pool where we can maybe make some money or something on this. I'm sure they exist.
Maybe for 42.
Yeah, there we go. Which is going to be not that far away, right? I thought it was coming soon. Anyway, okay. Well, thanks everyone for stopping by and joining us. Thanks, Mary, for being the only person ever to comment on our Survivor podcast and doing our social media. And
Thank you,
thanks,
Mary.
yeah. And thanks, Alex.
Of
And
course.
you
Thanks for
can
having me.
go to sleep now.
I definitely will.
And I'm
I
gonna
have
get on
work
my
early.
treadmill and burn off some of my caffeine energy. All right.
Enjoy.
See you back here next